Good evening and welcome to Edessa the Dark Crusade Season 2. Ulrich's Old Haven, in the middle of the city. Well, middle-ish of the city. Irene is currently at home, probably seeing to things. It is at this point that she is going to get a visitor. Unannounced, but, well, a visitor she knows very well. There will just simply be a knock at the door.
Okay. Yeah, Irene's um servant opens the door. Older woman, like late 40s, early 50s, opens the door and will let you in. And she'll ask, at least, she recognizes Madeline and she'll ask if, there's a special reason or if there's like, because she wasn't announced, of course.
Um, Madeline has a basket with her, and she will say, "No, there is nothing really. I wish to see the lady of the house."
Okay. And yeah, the woman will lead Madeline up to study that Irene usually occupies whenever there's a guest, and we'll knock on the door. And yeah, you'll hear Irene calling to enter. A woman will go in and will be like, "The Lady Madeline is here to visit you." And then the door will be open further, and you can come in.
Hmm. Madeline comes in, and she says, "Ah, good evening. I hope I am not interrupting you in something very important."
No, of course not. Irene will stand up from the desk where she was sitting with, like, writing something down. And she'll curtsy as usual. You can still see the fucking 4 egg on her.
Hmm. Madeline just looks at her, smiles, and she will just say, "You carry your wounds well."
I am, well, I guess I was mostly lucky. Please, would
"Hmm,
you like to have a seat?
thank you. But first, and she will just put the basket on a table, and she will get out a couple of roses, by the looks of it. It's a bouquet of different flowers, but you will see, like, yeah, it's quite beautiful. And she will just pass it to you. It is for you.
Oh, um, thank you.
A small gesture, but a gesture that needs to be done. You carried yourself well, given the severity of the situation. You seem to have grown from some of the trials that you have had to face. This pleases me. I wish to give you a gift to commemorate this.
I mean, we'll take the roses and just go through smelling them and almost lovingly touching like the petals of the roses, some of them. I I thank you very much. I can assure you a gift was not necessary, but it is very much welcomed, and I'm very grateful.
Hmm. Sometimes gifts are needed. The thought needs to be carried out as well. Besides, I know it is not that long ago, but we need to talk about what happened and for
Yes.
our plans for the future in this specific endeavor.
I can only agree to that, but first, I also have to apologize. Given the options that there was at the end of our, well, event a few nights ago, I chose to hold back Sir Asher and not yourself.
Well, two things. Holding back Sir Asher was the correct choice. You are Ulrich's childer, but perhaps you would not have been as successful in stopping me.
That was one of my reasons to go
So your
already.
instincts tells you right. Your instincts serve you well. You should not apologize for such things.
Hmm.
The fault and the apology should be mine. I should have controlled myself. My beast should not hold me and play with me as it did in that night. A great shame for me. But here we are.
I think I can assure you that there is nothing to be ashamed of. The fire was quite terrifying.
Hmm. Well, now knowing what that could happen and probably will happen, the next time I will prepare something that will make it easier perhaps for more than myself, but at least for myself to control, well, the beast in this situation.
Yes, I was not quite certain if the second time it would go around like it had the first time, so I was not quite prepared. Perhaps a little more than you and Sir Asher, but
Well, hmm, I might be able to, well, I need some certain ingredients for something, and that will allow me to circumvent wards easier than what we did.
that might be good, because it was quite painful.
Yes. Yes. Quite painful. A blessing for you.
A blessing was that I got through and
No,
that we all got out alive.
no. She smiles, leans back a bit in her chair. What what has Ulrich told you, I wonder, of me?
I know you were quite close in the past.
Hmm. We
I
still
know
are to a certain extent.
that he trusts you a great deal.
Do you know why I say it is a blessing that you are now harmed, and that you feel pain, that you are, some would say, suffering?
I do not.
Has he ever told you or spoken of the path I follow?
Just that you follow a different path than we do.
Quite so. Ulrich has made it quite explicitly clear to me that I do not proselytize to you, and I respect him, and I will not do so. But do know that I see any grievous injury as what you have been through as a lesson, as a test that you have survived, that will make you stronger in time. Your resolve, your unorthodox, but also quite proactive approach to solving problems in this city. I do believe that the pain that you have been through has made you stronger, and I
It has.
applaud you for this.
mm, I suppose it has at least made me wiser.
That too.
I think all events that have happened in the past year have made me more aware of myself and the city that we live in, the society that we live in.
Hopefully. But once you are better, once you have rested, do we hunt for the next of these braziers?
Yes,
Very well. While I see mm, your reasoning for going after them and destroying them, and I mostly agree with you that destroying them would either buy us time or stop certain parts of the plan in motion. One can never be certain. What if doing what we do is exactly what whoever is behind this wants? I'm
then we
not
will
saying it is
face.
likely, but
No, the thought has definitely crossed my mind, especially after, well, the first brazier has had set fire and this creature appeared. I was afraid that instead of slowing this plan down, we might have sped it up. And that thought still worries me, but we must do something.
that we must.
And,
An
well,
idea,
mm,
depending on where the brazier the next one we find is. Perhaps we could take it and move it somewhere where we can bury it or store it or secure it somewhere where it can neither burn nor be used by any ritualist would use it to start a fire that you have seen. It would simply just be somewhere where they cannot do anything.
I know you spoke of a certain, well, when last time we spoke of the stone slates, you proposed a similar thing.
Yes, I did. I believe that the best way of doing some of these things is, if not entirely hiding it from everyone, removing parts of the plan to a place or far enough away where no one knows where they are. If the part of the plan is missing in such rituals as the stone slates, I am quite convinced that they need all of the parts. Whoever wants to utilize them needs all of them. If one is missing, the ritual will not take place.
When it comes to the stone slates, I still disagree. I believe that those who are hunting them have many, well, many ways of tracking, and that they would not be stopped by barrier between our world and the abyss. However, when it comes to the braziers, what I'm led to believe, and this is purely my own beliefs, I have no real facts to state it on, or to stave it on, I should say. I think these rituals are being performed by humans. I think there are cults behind these braziers. Perhaps, well, I'm pretty sure the cults are being led on by a creature more powerful than we are, but they will need their followers.
Speaking of followers that summon things,
Mhm.
I do believe in one. I do believe I have met a human that has a summoning circle. A very closely guarded secret. It took me a while to get him talking,
I see.
but he is clear of conscience, and he is convinced that he's speaking with an angel.
Hmm.
And thus far, I have not seen him be anything but normal, respectful, God fearing person. It's strange. But given the fact that he is dealing with something, if he is only human, which I think he is, if he only is human, well, he could be quite easily manipulated by some of these things to see things that are definitely not true.
I think even we could present ourselves as angels to
I would never do such a
human.
thing.
Mm.
Madeline
I'm
just obviously quirks a very, very smile. Like, yeah, she could totally have the. She could totally do such.
I mean, we'll look a little, judging. She won't like comment on it. I think it's very easy that they can be misled.
Mm.
I think that might even be the case in these situations. I'm not sure what the background was of the house that we entered, who lived there, who came there. But the first brazier I found in an alley that a certain pagan group visited
Mm.
and used for their pagan rituals.
I see. So, two of the braziers are gone. If
Yes.
if you're if you had your way, we would destroy the three, as far as we know, three remaining.
Yes. Although, like I said, I think we could try your plan with the next one. If that would save us from facing another fire, that would definitely be a more, well, pleasant option at least.
Mm.
I do not have any experience with the abyss yet, save from the things that I summon, that all of us can do.
Well, I have some ideas of where to put it, where it will be less accessible, shall we say.
Hmm.
However, I'm also. She stops. She thinks a little bit for herself. The next time we will go, we will have to have a better. Now that I know exactly what is happening, I do believe I will need a bit more preparation time, but I should be more capable. However, there is another thing. This person I have met,
Yes.
I know my own limits, and if it is in fact a demon that is toying with this man, and I go to him and he summons it, there might be a binding ritual, but I would not like my chances. However, we need to get as much information out of this man as possible. So, if you tell Ulrich of this person, he will come to me. The man won't know where he is, and I will eventually tell him, be forced to tell him, and then the person will be dead very, very soon after. So for the moment, I would ask of you not to speak to him of it until I can get some useful insight into this person and any friends or relatives, mm, beneficiaries in the same spheres or circles.
I see. I was not planning on immediately running to Ulrich.
Good.
Is there a way, perhaps, in which I could lend you some support?
Hmm. Well, she looks at you and smiles quite widely. He is a Muslim,
Hmm.
but I do not believe that he would have anything against visit from one of my friends long as along with myself. If you're up for it,
Of course.
I will just have to ask him if he is okay with such things. I have not decided what I am going to do when I go next,
I understand.
but your offer of assistance is greatly appreciated.
Hmm. How, if I may ask, did you come into contact with him?
The sheriff, dear Gerard, held a soiree for the upper echelons of the city, the
Ah,
nobles, since we had heard rumors that the nobles were compromised.
yes,
It is where I found your ghoul.
I remember.
Hmm. I also, however, found this nobleman. Do you know of Auspex?
Yes.
You have been learned?
No.
Do realize that you have heard of the auras of us and mortals and others?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. It is hard to describe. A human is a somewhat bright color. It reflects by, in a strange way, colors, but not what we see normally. very hard to describe. We ourselves are pale. Some are very, very bright, perhaps those touched by magic, as I have been told. There are many things. Certain creatures tend to stand out different way. But this person, this man, his aura was, how to put it, well, shattered. It was static and in pieces, broken apart. I did not know what to make of it, and I still do not know what it exactly means. But
Like a
since I had
broken
not seen
mirror.
it before, I had to talk with him.
I understand. Interesting. Shattered.
Very difficult to read. Normally, you have this entire shade of a color.
Mm-hmm.
However might it might be fitted with our kind, it is still there. It is still viewable. But with him, it was almost impossible. This indicates something very different from human. Although he is affected by our blood.
I see.
But he also affected me somehow,
Oh?
I believe. It was almost like presence, but again, the details are very unclear.
Hmm.
I felt affection for him, but it came and then faded quite quickly.
Interesting. Strange. Do you happen to know a last name or what house he belongs to?
The player has forgotten. Give me one moment. House Bolio, Brulio, or something. I
Mm,
can't remember, but Madeline tells you.
let me see. Um, oh, the only name that I know that sounds somewhat like that is Sorbellion. And I
It
may
is
hope.
not them.
No, okay, good.
It's quite clear that um, it's more like,
Dopian?
come again?
Dopian?
Might be. I need to ask Chris.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't find it.
Hmm. Okay.
God damn it. Well,
It's fine.
yeah, he will come with a last name
Mm-hmm.
of the noble house. What I can remember is that it's an up and coming thing. It's not really a power base at the moment. Well, not really, but it might be soon.
Hmm.
You get the the feeling that when Madeline explains it, this up and coming and growing power seems to be also kind of something that makes her suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
So this is also part of the why she's been like, need to look into this.
I mean, we'll just nod and write down the name since I don't know if I have any info on the house yet. I can I can ask around, see if anyone knows more about the house.
Right, that would be the case, but of course. By the way,
Mm.
you have talked with the wishing woman before?
Yes.
Not the most cheerful person in the world.
No, she's not. But
She
mm,
insulted me quite a few times.
well, in all honesty, I am not really surprised at that.
Hmm.
She holds no love for our kind.
Hmm. That's true. I suppose some of us are filled with self-loathing, and she is much older than me, so what does a what very young person know of these?
Partially, I'd like to say that I don't think age matters much in this. But then again, I would be saying that as a benefit to myself.
Hmm. If you did not mention it, it would be almost clever.
She has beliefs and viewpoints that I can relate to, though not entirely agree with. She feels that all of us are abusing, in one way or another, humans,
Hmm.
and that we care not for their lives, their suffering, their hopes and dreams, their own free will, and their wishes. And, well, she is not wrong about this. I think many of us do not look at humans in the same way that we look at ourselves.
This is probably true.
And many see them as lesser than we are. As far as I've understood her, she wishes to, well, break our kind's holding on humans, either by teaching slash destroying us, or finding a way that humanity can fight us. I am not entirely sure what her ultimate goal is, but it most definitely has to do with her love for humanity and her hatreds towards our behavior towards them.
Hmm. Well, that hmm, that is very interesting. I have an idea as to what she might be, or hope to do.
Do you?
Well, I do not know exactly how it is, but we do know that she was with some other very, very powerful kindred
Yes.
that killed the prince. But there was no love between them.
Oh no. What I've
She has one goal. They have
mhm,
other goals.
yes. I know that, well, she told me that their paths, it's more than one of them. I believe there are 7 or 8,
Mm.
and they have allied themselves temporarily. I think in the end they will break away and might even become enemies to achieve their own personal goals over the goals of the group.
Mm. The first goal is to stop the original benefactor from collecting all of the stone slabs, stone tablets.
Perhaps so.
And you do know who that is.
Yes, I know very well who that is.
Mm. We are in a conflagration with powers that are, I hate to say, quite a lot more powerful than you or I, or perhaps even Ulrich.
Most certainly.
But we must persevere and outlive them.
Yes, I've been giving that some thought. There have been many nights that I was afraid that we would not be able to stand against them. But if a simple neonate can look an elder in the eyes and not step back, then I'm quite sure that we can and will find a way to defend ourselves in this city and perhaps these lands against all these of greater power.
We just might.
Mm,
But it is going to require so much of us.
yes, yes,
Most
indeed.
people, most people would say that would be a bad and demanding thing, but it's not. These trials, tribulations, will just make us, both you and me, stronger. if we allow them to.
Let's hope so. I am anticipating the nights to come, but, well, they will come anyway.
That they will.
We'll just have to face them with our own strengths, the strength of the people that we work with, and our faith.
Mm. Well, Lady Irene, please let me know the next time you set out. Send a letter to me, but simply say that you would wish to have a poetry night.
I shall. I shall indeed.
Good. We cannot say that we are going out to fight infernalism in a letter that might be seen by others.
No, you're absolutely right. I agree.
Good. Now, please get some rest.
I shall. And you too. I I hope everything is sorted. I did send some of my friends to make sure that this issue wouldn't become a break in our veil, but
Mm. You offer your services over and over. If you are in need of anything, I will assist you. You have now done quite a bit for me, so I will I have to help you in return. That is the least I can do.
you are not obligated to do so. I gave my
Oh,
help.
I believe I am.
I think the one thing I require help with is what you are already helping with. Saving the city. One brazier at a time, it seems.
Hmm. If I plan it correctly, and if you give me a couple of days heads up, I do believe I could have a method of transport available quite fast.
There's one thing though with the braziers that I'm worried about, and I think
Oh,
it is something you might want to take into your mind when preparing. The first time, I think we surprised this creature. The second time, it surprised us. I think the third will even be more difficult, and I would not be surprised if at some point we will come into a fight. I am not sure, of course, and
well,
they do not know which one we will strike, but they will put up defenses, that I'm sure of.
we could also bring more help. I am not saying that Asher is not a perfect gentleman, a very good person in general, and a very fine con- conversation journalist. But in such situations, perhaps we should have brought the sheriff or someone else.
Perhaps so indeed.
This will make a confrontation a little more, well, survivable.
I just think we should be prepared for more difficulties than our last event.
Oh, I have certain things in mind.
You
Might
wouldn't.
even be able to do something into you, but that would have certain requirements.
The creature itself, a thing made of living shadows. I thought it was a creature that was much like our own powers from the abyss. But Ulrich called it an infernal creature when I described it. I think it might be helpful if we find out what it is, if we can. I was hoping to be able to plan a visit with the Merchant of Bones. He seems to hold a great deal of knowledge, or has ways to find it.
Hmm. Well, will you talk with him yourself?
I was definitely planning to.
Good. Then we know certain things we need to do before we go next time.
If we have enough time.
Well, then there are things I need to see to already. Please, have a very good evening. I must be going.
Of
Oh,
course.
and keep the basket. She smiles.
Oh, thank you.
And Madeline will Madeline will just get up and yeah, she'll begin to leave.
Hmm. Irene will escort her to the door and will curtsy as she leaves and thank her for her visit.
And she will leave. And we will end the scene. Thank you very much, players, for playing, and watchers for watching. Good night.